Democratic Party of the Virgin Islands. My dad and a lot of people who influenced me, Marilyn Stapleton, Tito Morales. I mean, the list goes on. Former Governor Alex Farrelly. How I started as a young Democrat. I remained engaged from then till this very day, and I felt all the nuances it took to remain a member in good standing. This is 2026. And in 2026, you, me, and the entire Virgin Islands gonna witness how people who just want to be contrary, people who just want to deflect, derail, diminish, discourage, think that it's a really good thing under the guise that somehow they're being disenfranchised because they choose to sit back, lay down, sleep in, you know, for days, weeks, decades, right? Not contributing, not ever. But not because they have some kind of inkling and interest to either run as a candidate or to somehow get that spotlight on them. They've taken aim, full aim at the only political party established here in the territory for days and months and years, right? Speaking on the issues and vetting candidates every 2 years. That's us, the Democratic Party of the Virgin Islands. But you see, I have a discerning spirit, right? And when Shelley Moorhead take it upon himself, I don't disrespect people. That's not the way my parents raised me. But when he take it upon himself to one day find himself shooting me some cease and desist DMing me and sending it to my email, I said, you know something? This ought not to be taken lightly. I conferred with our council, and the council said, Carol, you're right to ignore this because it's garbage. But I wasn't taken by the words of our council alone. It's how I felt inside. That here it is that this one person, for whatever reason, because of whatever blind ambition, felt compelled to address me the manner in the way he did. Disrespectful, with disregarding cease and desist. Desist. That was what he said to me, folks. And all I did was discontinue any opportunity to be in contact with Shelley Moorhead. That is what happened. And from then till now, they've been ramping up and carrying on. They're on the so-called podcast. They're on Facebook and other social media platforms, carrying on and spewing. But more importantly, they're performing for you. This is an election cycle. And the funny thing about elections is you get a full performance from everybody at that time. I mean, it doesn't even, and that's not just in these Virgin Islands. It happens all over. You get full performance from everybody who wants that attention or yearns it, who wants to be recognized. So they filed, first of all, they filed to be interveners in our lawsuit against the election system. And they were denied that opportunity, the three of them. So they come back again. And this time they filed lawsuit against the election system. And then they went back, I think it was Wednesday, and filed a lawsuit against the Democratic Party of the Virgin Islands. To which now, I'm not going to stop doing what I'm doing, but we have to address it because it's a legal matter. And we will be addressing it. But Shelly Mohead and Callista Foy, I don't even know if I'm pronouncing his name correctly, and Laura Lee Monsanto somehow believe that the Democratic Party of the Virgin Islands owes them individually and collectively something. I don't know what a something is, but I could tell you one thing. I ain't nobody dummy. I'm me no fool. I don't try to act like I's a scholar, because I'm not a scholar. But you know something? I could handle myself. And when I decided to take the helm of this party, it was knowing two things: that the party needed rejuvenating, and that our affiliation with the National Party, the Democratic National Committee, had to be strengthened in order for us to modernize. And so the first thing at hand that I did, I went and I had a conversation, because I've been going to so many party meetings on the mainland. I practically know this inside out, my eyes closed, I sleep it, everything. I had a conversation with Ken Martin, the chairman of the DNC, and Jane Cleve, who is the president of the Association of State Democratic Chairs, about what I intended to do and my vision to rebrand, rebuild, strengthen the party, because we just simply couldn't go forward without doing that. And I want to say thank you to those individuals, because in that conversation, I received a full commitment from both of them to support the Democratic Party of the Virgin Islands as an affiliate. That's the word of the day, guys. Affiliate. AFFILIAT of the DNC. So I understood my assignment, right? The first thing I did was research the status of our relationship with the Federal Election Commission. And folks, we had none. All these years, we have a federal race, and we weren't registered with the FEC. So I believe it was May of last year, or June, we became FEC registered, have an ID, and since then we've been reporting our finances to the FEC. Now, reporting of finances is nothing that this party or any other state or territorial party should shy away from. It's full disclosure of the financial transactions that take place within the party. More importantly, the DNC requires it. So one, we were, for all intents and purposes, in violation of FEC regulations, because any political party that receives over $1,000 or spends over $1,000 is required by federal law to file to disclose their financial situation on a monthly basis. That was corrected, or we could even couch it as an irregularity for the party. It was corrected. June we got that done. The other thing that we needed to do was, after experiencing all the hiccups that resulted from the January 10, 2024 ruling of the Honorable Chief Judge Robert Malloy, we knew that as a party, and the only party that really is active here, and nobody can dispute that we had to get our act together. And that means stop winging it. Put structure, put your plans together, make it work, put a process so everybody is aware. These are the standards, these are the requirements of the Democratic Party, in order that if you are interested in running for public office, that these are the things you have to do. No, we did it. And I've been hearing in this small community, oh, but some of the people didn't know, and we didn't know, and I didn't tell we again, and I only hear it one time. Just as we have a responsibility to the public we serve, we are of this community, right? If anybody is interested in utilizing the banner of the Democratic Party, they have an obligation to come to us as well. So, the fact of the matter remains that we have 4 standards. You have to be in good standing. You have to sign a loyalty pledge. Okay. You have to also pay a filing fee, because there's a filing fee. And there's one more, and I can't remember. You just gotta forgive me for that right now, because I have a lot of things going on in my head. But I don't want to lose my train of thought, because I came here to really address this issue about the question as to whether or not the Democratic Party is legal. So somebody went and do their research, right? And they determined that I'm going to answer this call. Hold on, audience. Let me answer this call. Good afternoon. May I help? This is
Yes. Good afternoon.
good afternoon. Good afternoon. How are you?
You know, you preempted me. I was just gonna ask a question.
Hurry up and ask the question, because I have a guest coming on at 12:30.
Yeah, the question you were about to say.
Well,
If they said that the Democratic Party is not legally operating, and that you don't have some license or something from the Lieutenant Governor office.
okay. Okay, I got you. I'm
All
going to
right,
answer
thanks.
you. Listen, okay? All right. So, yeah. All of a sudden, because Shelly Moorhead, Callista Foy, and Laura Lyman Santo, who, by the way, I don't know if she told you guys, but she took it upon herself to run down to the Lieutenant Governor's office, right? And sign out the trademark, the Democratic Party of the Virgin Islands, in her name, right? So let's talk about people's intentions. Let me answer this call. Good afternoon. May I help?
Buenas tardes.
Buenas tardes.
How are you today?
I good, but you're making me stop because I wanted to finish this. Can you call?
Okay.
Can you call back? Oh, okay, call back. All right. So yeah, all of a sudden they say, them man say, right? I remember that the Democratic Party of the Virgin Islands is not legally organized. We're not an entity. I don't, and if we're not that, they should tell us what we be. But let me just read some sentences for before. Remember, I told you guys that I have a guest coming on at 12:30. So I just have a little bit of time. I'm going to try to address it real quick. First of all, right? I wish they would go and cite the law. Okay, it's Title 18, right? regarding the legal recognition of the Democratic Party of the Virgin Islands. The legality and standing of the Democratic Party of the Virgin Islands under Virgin Islands law is grounded directly in Title 18 of the Virgin Islands Code, particularly Section 301, which governs the recognition and operation of political parties in the territory. Under Virgin Islands law, political party is legally recognized if it meets one or two standards, right? The first one is that it's officially recognized. It is the officially recognized affiliate of a major national political party. Hello. The Democratic Party of the Virgin Islands is the recognized affiliate of the Democratic National Committee. My name, Carol M. Burke, stands in the records there in Washington, D.C. as the chairperson of this organization. And we are, in fact, the affiliate in the territory of the Virgin Islands. Okay? Number two don't apply to we because it's number one. But it says it earned at least 5% of the vote in the previous territorial election. It goes on to say, it clearly satisfies the first standard, which I told you. And the law specifically states, quote, that any party, this is the law, you know, this is not Carol Ball. This is not the Democratic Party. This is Virgin Islands law, okay? Any political party in the Virgin Islands, which is officially recognized affiliate of either of two major national political parties, an open quote, of either the Democratic National Committee or the Republican National Committee, shall be recognized as a political party within the territory. Close quote. That's what the law says. That's the law. So that means that the Democratic Party has legal, L-E-G-A-L, legal status. And it does not depend solely on election performance. Its affiliation with the national DNC independently establishes its recognitions under Virgin Islands law. This is what we're going to have to go tell them, I guess, Monday, Tuesday, wherever day we're supposed to be. And I'm not dismissing it. It's a lot of information I'm dealing with right now. The statute further recognizes important rights and responsibilities of legally recognized parties, including, and I won't close because I don't have time to go down the line, the authority to nominate candidates for public office through primary elections. I'm going to repeat that. The authority to nominate candidates for public office through primary elections. 2, the authority to elect members of its territorial committee and party officers according to its own rules. We have that. They were updated October 24th, 2025. The authority to govern internal party affairs consistent with election law. We have that as well. I just want you guys to understand that Virgin Islands law explicitly acknowledges that political parties have internal governance authority. The statute states that the party officers and the territorial committee are elected as its rule provides. Our bylaw states that. And then additionally, subsection C strengthens the legal identity of affiliated parties like the Democratic Party of the Virgin Islands. I'm going to leave it as there because my guest's calling me, and we're going to pivot into my welcoming of my guests. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairwoman Bird. How are you?
I am fine. And folks, we have Mr. Peter Bailey who interviewed me in Miami. Peter Bailey is with Nightcap Media, and I'm going to let him introduce himself as well. We had an awesome time. The exchange was memorable. And it did a lot of things in regards to leaving an impression with Mr. Bailey. So I'm going to ask him to just carry on, introduce yourself, Peter, and let's talk about the interview and what has happened since.
Yes, ma'am. So, yes, I enjoyed the interview. As I said, even it's the election season, and Miss Burke, I'm a filmmaker. Many people, if you don't know, I'm the producer of Paradise Discovered, the 3 documentaries that I did capturing our story after Hurricanes Irma and Maria. And sitting with you, I wanted to interview you because I think I've discussed with younger people how sometimes there's a divide with the hierarchy of leadership. So to build a bridge, our conversation was mainly meant to build a bridge with this next generation to the architects of our leadership. And I appreciate you for coming all the way to Miami to the studio and engaging in such a candid conversation. Because I think a lot of times when people are in the political realm, it's very tongue-in-cheek. The conversations tend to be tongue-in-cheek and lack that authenticity that I guess my generation wants. This is a different era. Like you mentioned in the interview, my style is a little bit different. But that's the thing. A lot of our styles now are different. So I really respect and value you for opening that door and building that bridge.
Well, I respect and value you for having the courage to tell me, hey, well, come let me interview you. I said, this dude, he bold, and I'm like, okay, the Miami is not an unfamiliar place for me. I went to school there, and I'm always in Miami. And not only that, the challenge, the opportunity. I wanted to talk about my vision for this thing called the Democratic Party of the Virgin Islands and to lay out a framework for how I want to develop it and how it would fit in with the whole dynamics of progress for the Virgin Islands. And I tried to do that. I don't know if I accomplished it, but hey.
No, you did, because I guess we live in a society, especially right now, Chairwoman Burke, where, with Epstein and the different things going on in the political landscape, that a lot of our people, particularly the younger generation, the millennials and Gen Z or whatnot, are disenchanted. And I guess there's a sense of apathy and distrust with the political mainframe. So I applaud you for I guess, breaking down those barriers and being a connector. And I know that must be a very uncompromising space that you find yourself in. And you were bold enough to address those issues. So I think, I'm accustomed to interviewing a lot of entertainers and these folks, and they're colorful and they're animated. But like I told you, I really cherish our conversation because, man, politics is a heartbeat of our lives. You can't turn on the water without a lawmaker deciding just how much water to use. So I think this conversation was more so, it's also education. Because there were things revealed that I didn't know. I didn't know you were a trailblazer at the University of Miami and one of the first Black graduates. I didn't know that. I did not know that.
I don't wear that on my sleeve, Peter. That's not how I am. But I'm honored to have been honored in that way. And I visit my alma mater. I when it's football time and basketball time, I use the Virgin. I'm like the point of contact to promote the Virgin Islands under that banner. I try to get as much mileage here. So to that point, though, Peter, remember in our conversations and subsequent conversations as well, we talk about connections between the Miami community and that of the Virgin Islands. Do you think that's still possible at all?
I mean, Chairwoman Burke, that's a necessity. I mean, for many years, I've tried to build that bridge. I mean, God has blessed me to be in a certain position that I've built a name and a career outside of our beloved islands. And I think we're just better with these bridges being built. So yes, there's a strong Democratic base who have always asked me, man, Peter, we would love to come to the Virgin Islands. I mean, if you think about it, Miami technically as a city is a gateway to Latin America and the Caribbean.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it be a record label, whether it be different businesses.
Or the cruise industry.
Yes, I'm based in Miami, so that's a gateway. And it's just natural for us being the U.S. territory to have a satellite offices and build that relationship in a real way. And it shows how after the hurricanes, if we had such bridges built, I think, we couldn't expect the tragedy that happened during Irma and Maria. But I think if we had closer ties with our folks, whether it be in the Democratic Party, in Miami and larger South Florida, we could have really get a boost from their resources. Indeed.
So what happened since then? Because it seems like our conversation triggered a lot of things for you, and I know you have a career in film, but it seems like you're pivoting a little bit away from that. Tell us what happened.
I mean, the cat is out the bag. I mean, for years, people have asked me about possibly entering the political arena. And I had to question myself, right? Because I've been an advocate. I don't like to use that word activist because I think activism now has become a brand.
Mm-hmm.
Everything I do, Chairwoman Burke, is from the heart, it's from the soul. It has to be organic.
Mm-hmm.
So, when I thought about it, I had my own biases, all these politicians, lawmakers, they're over there on a mountaintop. And then I said to myself, well, Peter, you're not one to sit on the sidelines, while Rome is burning and not into the arena. I think as a creative, as you said, being a creative and an artist, it's, I wouldn't say it's bittersweet, but it's a little bit of a hypocrisy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because we create films and we create art that influence the real people in the arena to act. So after our conversation, I decided to throw my hat in the ring, and I'm running for Senate in the St. Thomas, St. John district. I must say it's people think it's a new chapter, but there's not much difference between what I do and that arena, right? Especially in this new landscape, our leaders must think innovatively and from a creative standpoint. And that's what I do. I mean, I've been doing that for years, whether it be building the film infrastructure here in the Virgin Islands,
Mm-hmm.
whether it be being a catalyst to get the Office of Gun Violence Prevention started. So I decided, Kyle, as an educator, I'm thinking because it's I want to say it's an intimidating experience, but it's a different chapter for me, which one I look forward to. And the support that I've had since the announcement has been overwhelming. So that's definitely a blessing, Carol, because there's nothing I do. I want to make sure you can have a belief, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I want to make sure what I do is purpose-driven and is needed. Because I think the apathy and I think that the negative stereotypes of politicians or lawmakers have come from those of us who think it's a very self-serving and narcissistic space to be in. So, yes, I'm running for Senate. And I just look forward, Carol, to expanding upon what I've already done in our home.
Well, I think
I must say our conversation inspired that.
I'm glad that it did. I'm not gonna say or try to say it couldn't have. Honestly, I kind of hope that would happen, not necessarily with you, but with whoever may have been witnessing the result of the interview, because part of my job, part of why I'm here is to look for talent. I'm like a scout, and I have to wear that hat, and I want to wear it proudly and say that at least somebody listened to me, and I was able, when I threw out the net, at least I caught 1, 2, maybe 3 who could go into a primary, because hey, this gate looked full on both islands. We have close to 14, I believe, based on what's been reported in terms of who's picked up filing petitions on each island, and that's a lot. That's a lot.
It is, and what I will say, because I've seen you taking some heat for your forward-thinking approach to modernizing the party. And what I will say to this is that I don't see a separation between our generations. I think for our islands to rise, there must be an intergenerational bonding, right?
Mm-hmm.
I have a saying, my mother is 82, and one of the reasons I'm doing this is because she had a stroke. And after her stroke, the hospitals really weren't up to par, so she had to be airlifted to Miami. And while she was in rehab, she looked at me and said, son, what if we didn't have the means or the connections for me to be up here and get help?
Mm-hmm.
And it dawned on me.
Mm-hmm.
And she said, son, you have to do something. You know, you just can't live your life and just talk, and you have to act.
Your mom.
You have to act. So it was her decision. It was really, my motivation was my 82-year-old mom. But when I say that, the wisdom that I've derived from my mother, I couldn't learn that in books. I couldn't learn that on social media, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think there's this fear from our elders who say, well, you guys want to replace us. No, I don't want to replace you at all. I think that we can utilize, the younger generation can utilize the wisdom of our elders. Because like I said, knowledge you can learn in a book. Wisdom you have to experience. So I think there's a merging, right? So the younger folks can use the wisdom of our elders, but with the tools we have, we could apply that wisdom and go further where we need to go as a society. So I would love to see this intergenerational bonding instead of this, well, someone is coming to take our spot, or these older people need to step aside, which I find to be very disrespectful.
Yes.
Because one day I'm going to be an elder.
And that's good that you recognize that. It's good that you recognize that, you know. Because
it's a village. You know, it's not a competition. This is a village. You know, it's like a relay race where, you know, you pass the baton and you groom each other and you mentor each other so we can get to where we're trying to get to. So I'm honored that my people even have told me, Peter, yes, you need to do this. I'm humble and I'm honored. I look forward to it.
So, Peter, you held that interview. And I'm like, oh, Peter, when you were air the interview, and you kept telling me, Carol, I'm a journalist. I'm a journalist.
Yeah,
so tell me what's up with that. What was that? Yeah.
You know, I put it this way, not to bash what's going on in new media, because for those unaware, Nightcap was a pioneer of podcasting. Nightcap was the first, arguably the first, I mean, from 2010, the first podcast. Back then, I didn't call it a podcast. But I take what I do seriously. So even for those who ask, well, why is a journalist or a creative entering the race? Because look at the landscape we're in now. Social media, these forms, this content control starts. So me being a person, I wouldn't say a master of it, but someone who's very groomed in the art of storytelling, it's a responsibility. Because Carol, when you sit with me, that's your legacy. If a bomb drops tomorrow and we disappear, the world would just remember how you was presented sitting with me, right?
Right.
And that's history. So this is not, I don't do what I do for bait clicks or likes or, it's kind of like when you get on a plane, if the pilot isn't schooled in the art of journalism, no, you wouldn't.
I was just going to, it looked like you're reading my mind because I was going to ask you, but why the Democratic Party? So.
Good question. And I'll be very candid in saying that I have tons of supporters who have followed me and supported me for years. And, you know, they gave me a side eye.
Yeah.
Because even me, Carol, I've always looked at the Democratic Party.
Well, you came to me a couple times and asked me a couple things about the party, and I had to answer you. I couldn't, you know, BS you. I had to tell you the truth.
It's in a rebranding. And even in America, this is not the bully diversion of us, but even in larger America, a lot of people of color felt that the Democratic Party has just pimped the black community without taking us seriously, right? So, but I will say this: when I look at the landscape of what the current leadership is doing in America, I had to join the Democratic Party. This is not an era in society where you can stand in the middle. You have to pick a side. And that's just some grown.
I love your answer. I love your answer. So
we are at war. So if Peter Bailey couldn't stand neutral while I see black history being erased, while I see a president making a mockery out of what my ancestors died and fought for. So yes, has the Democratic Party have issues? Yes. But I think that through a reinvention America, the ability to reinvent. So I see just with your openness to allow people like myself, who I guess is an outsider because I'm not tied. I'm not from the old guard. I don't know really. I have no close ties with anyone in the Democratic Party here on the ground. But I look forward to just adding some value, and I think we can reinvent the party. You know, I think we can do what we believe in. But I think it was essential for me to pick a side.
Well, and I'm glad you picked. I'm glad you picked the party because the party needs talent like yours, and we want to make sure that what we do as a party is very much part of the fiber of our community. And so, yeah, that succession is what we need. But like you said, intergenerational, deliberate, intentional. Making sure that there's communication between the generations, so that there's an understanding, a deliberate passing on of the baton, so to speak. But I wanted to ask you, Peter, about a very controversial subject that we touched on in the interview, and it was about Epstein and my reaction to if we could just capture that a little snippet of that, so we could share with our audience really what that meant for you.
I've sat back and watched this Epstein thing, and I want to tell the Virgin Islands people, I have insight that most people are not going to have. I worked for the Miami Herald. I was a staff writer at the Miami Herald. I won several awards at the Miami Herald. And at one point, one of my editors was Julie Brown. I know you know who Julie Brown is.
Yes.
Julie Brown has just broke the story on Epstein. I will say this. Working at the Miami Herald and larger mainstream America, a lot of these folks have enjoyed, yes, that story needed to be told. It did. But the story about us in the hurricanes being neglected needed to be told. Our political status, not having the right to vote, needed to be told. So I will just bluntly say, a lot of my peers, white American journalists in America, they have the same blind spots and the same prejudices. So there is a fervor to look at a black majority territory and say, these black folks can't run a society well. There must be some dirt here. So I want our public to understand the coverage and what we're dealing with. That journalists are not immune to such biases and prejudices. Because it pains me that Epstein lived in Florida. Epstein lived in New York. He did a bunch of dirt there.
Yep.
I don't see Floridians just basically branding their state as the Epstein state. I don't see New Yorkers branding their state as the Epstein state. So I'm asking my peers in the Virgin Islands, do not allow journalists who basically, now I think she's turning it into a film. It was a book, now it's a TV series. Wow. So when does this become impassioned journalists for justice, or a person using a story to push their brand into fame?
To make money. To make money.
Some hurricanes wiped us out. Julie Brown of the Miami Herald, they did not cover us. I mean, I wrote in the New York Times op-ed about it, but my point is, let's understand that what happened with Epstein, yes, it was a stain. I'm not condoning any of it, but there's so much more to our island than Epstein. There's so much more, and let's challenge larger journalists and larger mainstream media to come and cover the story. Don't we have a young man in Tehran Thomas, the first black man to win a Grammy for songwriting? We have a lot of stories. We have Tim Duncan. We have a lot of Denmark Vesey, beautiful, powerful stories. The brother Adam O that just spoke at UVI. You know, we have talent and positive stories. Why are we as a people obsessed with sharing our war stories? Now, maybe it's because of infighting and someone wants to get back at whoever, but like I said, as a journalist, someone who worked with Julie Brown, she was my editor at one time. Let us not be naive and allow mainstream media to ignore us during our beauty, during our strength, and then just blast our errors, our flaws. I'm not condoning the Epstein thing, but what I'm not going to condone is people using our worst moments as a collective to brand us in basically for their own gain. I'm not going to sit back and be silent about
And
that.
and,
So,
and I,
yes,
I
I
I
have to
am there
address
with
that
you.
in the
I'm absolutely. But you know, another truth to that whole discussion about Epstein and what's been happening, and how people have been basically broad brushing the whole thing, or the Virgin Islands is Epstein Island and all of that. And I told you about my own experience at the DNC where I had to, I served on the resolutions committee, and there was a resolution about Epstein at Epstein Island. And, you know, at the end of the debate, I had to take a moment of personal privilege, and I had to say, this is not the U.S. Virgin Islands. That is not who we are as a people, you know. And they appreciated me for putting that on the record. And because I am not embracing that, I am not owning that nonsense. I'm not doing it.
Chairwoman Burke, I'm from St. Thomas. Epstein Island is on the east end of the island, my part of the island. The average Virgin Island doesn't know this man, never met this man, never benefited from this man at all. So, like I said, I'm highly offended that people are branding us that, but I'm more offended by the few in our community. Some are impassioned, yes. Some are right for seeking justice to make sure this doesn't happen again. But let's be real. There are some who are just using this to bill a name.
That's
and
right.
I mean, at the sake of our children. Because please remember this, folks. Whatever you share on social media, the children are watching. So when children grow up and you're constantly feeding them this negative image of themselves, where is that going to lead to? Where is that going to lead to? So it's time, I think, for Virgin Islanders to view ourselves as a collective. You see, if you view ourselves as a collective, we'll be more protective of our respect and our honor as a collective.
And you know,
so
I just wanted to say, and before you move on from Epstein, because we only got 8 more minutes, right? But I just wanted to say, when you reference Miami and you spoke about New York, neither of which got far more money than the Virgin Islands, and I believe they had far more activity going on for a longer period of time, right? None of them. The victims got nothing from New York, and they got nothing from Miami, from Florida. They got nothing. They got from the Virgin Islands. So and again, people don't take what I'm saying out of context. I mean, we are very culpable, and culpable for the lack of a better word, but we dealt with the victims, and wherever, I'm sure whoever is the next governor, if there's more to be done with regards to the victim, I think these Virgin Islands will be more than willing to do that. The victims it's a real thing, but are we gonna carry this, like wrap this from the Virgin Islands? No. I follow you.
Just asked the journalists covering Epstein to come cover our beauty,
Thank you.
Positivity, and our history, just as passionate as our flaws. That's fair journalism. That's speaking from a journalist. That is speaking from a person who has spent their career mastering the craft of journalism. And on Facebook, be just as impassioned to share our collective strengths and beauty as you are our mishaps.
So there's another thing that you shared with me when I visited your studio, Mr. Bailey. That's your coffee. What coffee have to do? What coffee have to do with journalism and with
it has a lot.
Tell me about it. Tell me about it.
As people of color, all we do is consume everything, right? I've been able to keep doing what I'm doing as a journalist, unfiltered from biases, because I've always been shrewd when coming to business. I've always been shrewd when believing in product. We look at the Virgin Islands and we look at what do we build? What do we manufacture here? So it's funny you mention that, because me and my partners told you that one of our goals is to bring it to a roasting facility here in the Virgin Islands to create jobs. So when you asked me about the coffee, it was just natural for me. I built a brand, I built a following, and a coffee mogul came to me. I have some interesting supporters and fans, and one just happens to be a a coffee mogul, and he said, Peter, you need your own coffee. You need product. And that's how that came about, because it's about building an infrastructure, Kyle, where basically, yes, there's a show, but there's also a real live product. So where I go, our people go, our history goes, and you're consuming that. I don't like anything or anyone to put barriers on me, you know, and limitations, right?
Right.
So the same way you can go drink Folger's coffee, you could drink mine. You could drink Peter's Nightcap coffee. You know, it's about showing the next generation how to build products and build real, long, sustainable success that cannot be taken away. That cannot be taken away. You know, we grew up watching Walt Disney. We grew up watching Ted Turner, right? We grew up with Donald Trump. He puts his name on buildings.
Right.
You know, so yes, Peter Bailey from St. Thomas has his own coffee with my face on it, and I look forward to the support. It's been doing extremely well.
So where can folks see our interview, Peter? How can they access
Peter's
it?
Nightcap on YouTube. So if you just go to YouTube, just put my name in, Peter Bailey on YouTube, and it'll pop right up. Peter Bailey. Go to YouTube, go to search, and put Peter Bailey, it'll pop right up. So the name of the series is Peter Bailey's Nightcap.
Peter Bailey Nightcap. And I really want to tell you, you know, with my audience, you know, as witnesses, you made it so easy for me to really engage in that interview. You brought out my authentic self, whatever apprehensions, whatever apprehensions I may have initially come with, they were allayed. I mean, they just fell off one by one. I'm looking forward.
My audience does not like me to speak with politicians or people in the political realm because they say you guys are very scripted, you know. So,
but I wasn't scripted, Peter. I was not scripted. I spoke raw. That was kind of work. Yeah. So I this is a new era in Virgin Islands politics, and that's really the way I see it, because if we're looking to refresh, restart, rejuvenate, we have to add additional ingredients, and I'm glad that you and others have done the unselfish thing, and you have filed already, by the way, with the election system.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I'm fine tuning everything, and I'll be delivering it on Monday.
Okay,
yes,
so that's when you'll file. You pick it up, and you're gonna be filing it on Monday. Yeah.
Yes, everything is finished. I just didn't get to Friday on time. I was going to deliver on time on Friday. But Monday morning, yes, I'm officially in the system.
So next time, I want you to come into the studio physically, and we'll have a full hour. By then, you will be a candidate. I'm hopeful, and you will be able to share your vision, your platform with the audience. And you know, there's one thing as a former senator, one thing that I dismiss is people tend to say, "Oh, you're from St. Croix, from St. Thomas," and there's a boundary, a demarcation between the two, that you should say that you're a St. Croix senator, or say, nah, the law provides that it's called a Virgin Islands senator from the St. Croix district and the St. Thomas St. John district. That's how it is. But you're a Virgin Islands senator. I wish you so much success with your candidacy and into the 37th legislature. So
I'm looking forward to it. I'm praying and I'm looking forward to it. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Peter. And have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your Saturday.
You too, Chairman Burke. Thank you.
You're welcome. Yes, that was Peter Bailey. We had a beautiful interview back in March, and he's airing it now. It's out. But not only that, he's also running for office out of St. Thomas to the 37th legislature as a Democrat. So I was proud. Carla, if you want, you could call back We have like a couple of minutes left before we wrap up. You could call back if you're hearing me. I still willing. I just couldn't interrupt the interview to answer the calls. That's just not the way you do it, and I apologize for that. Feel free to call back. But I am looking forward to seeing more of Peter, to seeing and hearing more from all of the candidates who are running under the Democratic Party banner. And I just want to delve back into what I was talking to you about this question as to whether or not the Democratic Party is legal. I mean, I'm just like, I just can't believe the gumption of folks to think that somehow because they went somewhere directed by some person to dig up something that said, oh, by the way, and she had enough to put it on Facebook. The Democratic Party we haven't received that. So is that a violation? Is that it? We have a history here. Every 2 years, this party, the Democratic Party of the Virgin Islands, to which I am the chairperson today, okay, and there were previous chairpersons in the name of Stedman Hodge, former senator, Cecil Benjamin, former Congresswoman Christensen, Donna Christensen, Tito Morales, Marilyn Stapleton. It goes back. We vetted and campaigned for many political candidates here in this territory. Campaign for winners, which we're going to be doing in 2026. Blue Wave is here. It's building. Understand that. That's what we do. So, yeah, I don't know what the court going to decide regarding financial disclosure. Nobody never said not to me. I could speak for Carol Buck. Nobody never said, Ms. Burke, as the chair of the party, you are responsible for this, and that in terms of the election system to provide monthly, quarterly, whatever it may be. Well, we'll see how that goes. But I do know that we do provide financial disclosure reports to the Federal Election Commission. Okay? So I just want to really encourage everybody to continue, especially our prospective candidates. I'm so proud of everyone. This is the first time after we've been the subject of interference by the government, under the election system, that since 2024, that historic ruling by the good Judge Malloy, that we put together an election and certification plan. We're executing the plan, folks. We're executing the plan. We're rebranding and rebuilding the party. We're modernizing. Okay? Are we going to be perfect? Absolutely not. That's not going to happen. But we're going to get to the end goal. We will have people who are in the new legislature and absolutely who will be the next governor of these islands as well as delegate to Congress. That is why we exist. So those of you who think you're the absolute scholars, legal scholars and otherwise, the only you got brains, you had nothing to do with this party. Not one iota of nothing. You come out of the woodwork with all your demands and your rudeness and carrying on fun. The judge gave you an opportunity to come and stake your case. Okay? Do that. Do that. And I hope you get everything that all your hearts are hoping for. But I challenge you to take all the knowledge that you have collectively, all your resources, your sweat, your tears, your sacrifices to build a political party and bring it on. Build it. Get it together. Build the organization. Bring it forward. But one thing you ain't gonna get to do, and in particular you, Lorelei Monsanto, you can't walk into the Democratic National Committee office on Capitol Hill in Washington, D.C. and claim anything affiliated with the Democratic Party of the Virgin Islands. Not you. Try. Try. Since you think you could derail this party, you could disrupt. And since you think that somehow, because you're Lorelei Monsanto, right? And because you want to diss the existing party, and you think that Carol Buck as a chairperson will just sit and let it happen, you're quite mistaken. Not me. And not the members of this party, the territorial committee, and not the DNC. You have another thing coming. So I don't know what you were thinking of when you went to do what you did and put it on Facebook like you've accomplished something. You've accomplished nothing other than foolhardiness to think that somehow you could just come and wrap yourself in a brand that is not yours. It's not yours. You did nothing. You never held a meeting, not much as attended one. You never did any of those things that make the Democratic Party of the Virgin Islands what it is today. You never did. So how could you come now today and claim that you're an affiliate? You're not. So, Mr. Ali, you're done. You're
Well,
ready?
just keep going. I just got to finish.
Okay.
something.
You want me to continue?
Yeah,
So, in continuing with that, right?
that guy that you had on, he made a film about St. Croix, you know.
I know.
Really?
Yeah,
Good.
yeah, he did. It's a film I saw it twice. It was very, very, very moving. It was very moving. I will talk about the protection of affiliated rights, right? Tied to the national party structure. Just quickly, while Mr. Ali then himself together.
Go
And
ahead.
I'll call them Carl Callista Floyd. I hope I'm pronouncing his name right. Carl Shelley Mohead and Carl Lorelei Monsanto. Tell them to listen to what I say. The protected affiliation rights tied to the national party structure means that once the party, the Democratic Party of the Virgin Islands, to which I'm the chairperson, is officially affiliated with the national political party, the law, the LAW law recognizes and recognizes and protects that relationship and the party's identity, authority, and organizational control. Let me read that again. The law recognizes and protects that relationship and the party's identity, its authority, and organizational control. Under Virgin Islands law, the Democratic Party of the Virgin Islands is not simply a local club using the Democratic name informally like what Lorelei Monsanto aims to do. That's why they think things so easy. You could just walk up in the lieutenant governor office and sign for the name. Really? Okay. It is recognized as the official territorial affiliate of the DNC. And that affiliation carries legal protections. The strongest example appears in subsection C of Title 18, Section 301, okay, which states that once a Virgin Islands political party affiliates with the National Party, and I read that to you already, everything, no association, none. That means you, Lorelei Monsanto, group, club, organization, or instrumentality shall, not me, shall use the symbol, the emblem, or insignia of that national party without written consent of the territorial party. Okay? The party leadership. In practical terms, what I'm saying is no other organization in the Virgin Islands can legally present itself as the Democratic Party. So Lorelei, I don't know why a rush went down to the Lieutenant Governor office to do. And you were allowed to sign up something and claim that you got rights to the Democratic Party, really? Without the authorization of the Democratic Party leadership. Okay? The Democratic Party of the Virgin Islands controls the lawful use of our symbols, the branding, and the insignia within the territory. The government, as the election system, recognizes the Democratic Party as the legitimate representative of the National Democratic Party in the Virgin Islands. And more importantly, the courts may issue injunctions. I better listen to this, Okay. The courts may issue injunctions to stop unauthorized use of the Democratic Party identity or symbols. You ready, Mr. Ali? Or
I'm ready. I'm
okay.
ready.
So I don't stop right there. Again, I have too much information right now. I give a whole heap of information because I just don't understand what people will be thinking. That you could just come on the scene, send Carol Buck in her capacity as chairwoman, assist and desist thing under some DM and then email it to me. Yeah, Shelly Moorhead did that, guys. He did that. And I ignored him because I had work to do. I had real work to do. I had to make sure that the election plan that our territorial committee and the election committee within the Democratic Party put together and adopted was going to be good to roll out this coming right now. Okay, in our vetting process, that is an important component of it. So I'm gonna take my bow, my blue bow, and wrap it around the blue wave that building. Okay, we're wrapping it around that blue wave. I'm leaving it here for now. Mr. Ali is ready to take on to sit after me. I don't know if you're able to follow me, because I think I was a little raw today, and my energies are for better use. This is a distraction, guys. Take it easy. Take care of yourselves. And even in politics, we could still be cordial and nice to each other. Thank you so much for listening to me today.
All right. Thank you so much.
Cordial.
All right.
Good night.
Peace and love.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Let's get this going. No.
Peter Bailey. Peter Bailey, he's from St. Thomas.
Okay, with the coffee.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
He's running for office. He's running for Senate.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I like what he's saying.
Yeah.
How you doing?
I'm good.
Okay.
Wasn't you drinking coffee?
I never used to drink coffee, and when I was in the States, I used to drive long distances,
Yeah.
and I
That's when you
keep
started
me up.
drinking. Yeah,
She's still around.
yeah. She's still around. Yeah. Oh, you went to school, huh?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Yeah, okay, take care.
All right, okay.
I'll
Lovely.
see you.
Okay, peace and love, yeah. All right. Okay, folks, let's just get my headphones on here so I can see where we are. That's right. That's right, folks. We're going to stick by each other, but we're going to leave out some of our other stuff that we normally begin the program with and get straight down to what's happening. No, well, I gave her the time, no problem. All right, and I just want to say that, of course, my co-host is here, Dr. Brenda English, and of course, Brenda is my co-host, and she's also a member of our Toastmasters group, and we appreciate that, and appreciate that a great deal indeed, and we will see how things go, and we will see where we are from here, and let's just see. Okay, folks, well, in the program today, we're going to be having at 1:30 a little bit about the Jamaica recovery. And of course, you know, Jamaica has had the storm the other day. And of course, they want to see where they are in terms of recovery. And we're getting ready, of course, to line ourselves up for the next hurricane season. So Donovan McBean is going to be here to talk to us about that. And then a little bit later on, we're going to be hearing from Janelle Sorrell. I understand that, I don't know if she signed up, but she's supposed to be running as the delegate. She's supposed to be, yes. And then we're also going to be checking in with a gentleman called Myron Alec. Oh, yes, definitely. And he's written a book and all that lot. So we will have to see how we go to keep that rolling as best we possibly could. And that's going to be good. All right. Well, in the meantime, you want to say anything real quick? Let me check to make sure your mic is working.
Yes. Thank you, Dr.
Okay,
Ali.
lovely. All right. Okay.
I did want to say congratulations to the graduates yesterday for your hard work.
That's right. Yeah.
UPI. And
it was really
keep
very good.
working hard, that's
I
right.
was there and I saw what went on, and appreciation to all of them.
That's right.
And a little bit later on, I'm going to be reaching out to one or two individuals who I
Okay.
know who graduated. But in the meantime, let me just bring you up to date with a couple of news items. Former Senator Britt H. Bryan calls for the preservation of the historical artifacts at the Gwem Museum in a letter he sent to the Daily News. And Antigua and Barbuda, they have tossed over a 40-year oath to the British monarch. The islands no longer pledges loyalty to Britain, its former colonizer. Instead, the country now vows its support and allegiance to the state of Antigua and Barbuda. So things are moving on there. And a recent study of mothers in the US has revealed that there has been a drop in the mental health of